guys ready?
Mm-hmm.
Alright, so, hello, my name is Rayan Rifai, and today I'm talking about my language and learning journey. Language and literacy journey. Alright, so someone once told me, put your shoes on and see where life takes you today and every day. And for this reason, I have chosen for my metaphor to be a shoe. For me, it symbolizes the growing into my adult shoes from baby to young adult, and all the journeys I've had throughout my life, like scruffing up my shoes, falling on my knees, and whatnot. From learning how to first walk, to my first days in kindergarten, to transitioning to primary school, progressing through high school, graduating, and everything else I learned in between. Along the way, there are a lot of skills that would have required my learning and literacy, from the minor aspects to the major aspects, like learning how to say my first word, and the progression of that throughout my life that has led me to writing essays at a tertiary level. The outline or the formation of the shoe. As a baby, I learned all the basic gross and fine motor skills and the ability to form small words to communicate. It was through the basic form of development as a child and the curiosity to see the world around me and learn from it that I managed to do so. Not only did I learn basic English words, but I was also learning Arabic words, which has led to me becoming bilingual. My base was outlined, and as a toddler, I was slowly starting to form new words into sentences. I learned that adding different words together can create a better understanding for those around me to understand what I was trying to ask for, and this ensured that I had progressed in the ability to communicate effectively with the people around me. I became more adaptive to the Arabic language though, because my parents were more Lebanese based as they were born in Lebanon. And it was the main language that was spoken around me, so I became more fluent in Arabic than I did in English. But I also had a good understanding of the English language because of the fact that I used to watch a lot of TV shows, as most kids used to, preschool or TV shows. The shoe cap was put on, basically. And as a preschooler, my major accomplishment was being able to sound out the alphabet at kindergarten. I found this to be a big accomplishment because I was one of the first people in my kindergarten class to do so, and also because of the fact that I had an Arabic background, it was like surprising to me that I was able to have an English understanding. Being able to sound out the English Arabic also led to me being able to sound out the Arabic alphabet because of the fact that there's a few sounding words that are very, very similar but distinct as well. And my ability to use both languages became flourishing before my very eyes. The shoe was slowly being formed. As I progressed through to primary school, I found my first love, books. Music was an important factor in my development as it provided me with a gateway from the rest of the world, and when the teacher used to read out loud to the class, my main focus would be on her. When I was able to read sentences clearly and fluently, the first book I picked up was Roald Dahl's Matilda. I found love with the protagonist of the book story as she related to me, and I was so enriched by the book that it took me just 4 days to complete it. My love for books made me start to write out my own novel. As a high schooler, and was also used as a form to escape the bullying, as I copped a lot of bullying at that age. Books were a means of escape, and learning the power of words and imagination was one of the best things to take away from the happenings of my life, but also it took my mind off of things that were happening. Learning the reading and becoming a novelist was one of the things that I really wanted to do as a high schooler. I used to like the idea of writing words and having people understand it, but not having to have to say it out loud, like presenting to people, because that's an issue for me. So all the details have come together, and because of this, I've become a young adult. What happened? Oh, no. And because of this, I've become a young adult. I had a more enlarged knowledge of grammar and language, and my love for escaping the world led to me wanting to travel. I left uni. I only went for 6 months, but I dropped out of uni and I decided to explore the world. I went to 7 countries, but the more memorable one was going to 3 countries in 2 weeks. I had to learn about the culture, I had to try to communicate in different languages, and overall I had to discover the difference between the countries that I visited to the country that I actually live in. Trying to navigate around the countries blindly was one of the hardest things I faced, but getting around and managing to get to where I wanted was a big accomplishment because of the language barrier. It opened a whole new world of imagination and creativity to me, And one thing that came out of this was me needing to want to discover myself as opposed to taking life as it goes. And one thing that I identified with was makeup. I know it doesn't sound right because how does makeup affect literacy and language, but you discover that there's a completely different language to makeup as opposed to the English language. When I was at makeup school, I discovered that the industry requires a lot of literacy. I had to read and understand the makeup ideas, the terms, whatever I was using. I had to deal with different clients. I had to write out a lot of work. Surprisingly, 3,000 word essays were actually in the course, but I was involved in a lot of writing emails, texting, catering, and whatnot to make sure that the client was always happy. And without the knowledge that I had acquired in school and the literacy knowledge, I wouldn't have been able to do so. So in every literacy and language journey, there is definitely strengths and weaknesses. For me, I find that my strength was having a basic understanding of the English language and the ways of which it was applied to my everyday activities, such as being able to successfully read road signs while driving a car, being able to cook whilst following a recipe, and being able to read text and understand it fluently. But there was also the literacy which was learnt, such as being able to use words to form sentences and communicate with those around me, and to also be able to produce and properly write essays to the best of my ability. Organisation also comes from learned literacy as well, and I believe I'm great at being organised and professional and prepared. One of the main goals for me to improve is to be able to successfully complete the BSKB test at level 5 and being able to understand how I reached that level because of the fact that I didn't go to school up until I decided to do makeup, so my literacy had become a bit deficient. But through this, I hope to be able to achieve the successful level and to understand how I got to that successful level by completing all the modules that are required of me to do. And in doing this, I hope to successfully exit my first semester with all the credentials needed. There we go. Overall, I believe that everyone goes through their own learning and literacy journey. Each individual faces their own hurdles in their education that they must overcome through hard work to the benefit of their struggles. Literacy is not an easy concept to grasp at first. However, as a person excels due to their hard work and their dedication and their consistency, they begin to truly realise how adventurous mastering literacy is to their literacy learning journey.